In 1990, the Middle East was on the brink of one of the most consequential wars of the late 20th century. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, the world condemned the aggression. But condemnation alone did not guarantee military intervention. Many Americans were deeply divided over whether the United States should fight another war overseas. Politicians debated. The public hesitated. Congress remained uncertain. Then, everything changed. A frightened 15-year-old girl appeared before members of the U.S. Congress. Her testimony lasted just 4 minutes. By the time she finished speaking, millions of people believed they had witnessed proof of unimaginable cruelty.
They took the babies out of the incubators.
Her words spread across television screens, newspapers, and political speeches. Within months, the United States led a coalition of 42 countries into war. Years later, investigators uncovered a stunning truth. The testimony that had helped convince the world was not what it appeared to be. This is the story of Nayirah Al-Sabah, the incubator baby's testimony, and one of the most famous propaganda campaigns in modern history.
Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
To understand the controversy, we first need to understand the political landscape. The Iran-Iraq War had just ended after 8 brutal years. Iraq emerged heavily indebted, owing billions of dollars to neighboring Gulf states, especially Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Saddam Hussein believed Kuwait should forgive Iraq's debt because, in his view, Iraq had fought Iran partly to protect the Arab Gulf. Instead, relations deteriorated. Baghdad accused Kuwait of producing too much oil, lowering world oil prices and damaging Iraq's fragile economy. Iraq also accused Kuwait of illegally drilling into Iraqi oil fields near the border. Negotiations failed. Then, on August 2, 1990, Iraqi forces crossed the border. Within hours, Kuwait's military was overwhelmed. The ruling Al-Sabah family fled into exile. Saddam Hussein declared Kuwait to be Iraq's 19th province. The international community condemned the invasion, and the United Nations imposed sanctions. But military intervention remained uncertain. Many Americans questioned whether sending hundreds of thousands of troops to the Persian Gulf was worth the cost. President George H.W. Bush needed public support, and public opinion was divided. History shows that wars are fought not only with tanks and missiles. They are also fought with stories. Governments understand that military campaigns require public support. To build that support, they often emphasize the enemy's worst crimes. Sometimes those crimes are real. Sometimes they are exaggerated. And sometimes they are completely fabricated. Political scientists call this atrocity propaganda. Stories designed to portray the enemy as so evil that military action appears not only justified but morally necessary. In 1990, one story would become the defining symbol of Iraqi brutality. On October 10, 1990, the Congressional Human Rights Caucus held a hearing in Washington. Among several witnesses was a young Kuwaiti girl introduced only by her first name, Nayirah.
Kuwaiti girl identified only as Nayirah.
And Nayirah.
Kindly call on Nayirah.
My name is Nayirah, and I just came out of Kuwait.
She appeared nervous. She struggled to hold back tears. Speaking softly, she claimed she had volunteered at Al-Aden Hospital in Kuwait City. Then came the statement that changed history. She said Iraqi soldiers entered the hospital carrying guns. According to her testimony, they removed premature babies from incubators, stole the incubators, and left the infants on the cold floor to die.
I was there. I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
The room fell silent. Many lawmakers were visibly emotional. Television networks replayed the testimony repeatedly. Newspapers around the world reported the horrifying allegation. The image of helpless babies dying on a hospital floor became one of the most powerful symbols of Saddam Hussein's alleged brutality. Whether or not people knew anything else about Kuwait, they remembered one thing: the incubator babies.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor. It was horrifying.
The testimony spread with extraordinary speed. Television stations aired it hundreds of times. Millions of Americans watched it. Human rights organizations initially repeated the claims. Several media outlets reported the story as fact. Even members of Congress cited it during debates over military intervention. President George H.W. Bush mentioned the incubator story repeatedly in speeches. For many Americans, the debate was no longer about oil, geopolitics, or international law. It became about protecting innocent children.
Is the time to check the aggression of this ruthless dictator whose troops have bayoneted pregnant women and have ripped babies from their incubators in Kuwait.
President Bush repeated the incubator story at least 10 times in the following weeks.
Babies pulled from incubators and scattered like firewood across the floor.
When Congress voted on authorizing military force in January 1991, the decision passed by a relatively narrow margin. Although many factors influenced the vote, historians generally agree that the incubator story became one of the most emotionally powerful arguments supporting intervention. Soon afterward, Operation Desert Storm began. A coalition of 42 nations launched a massive military campaign. Within weeks, Iraqi forces were expelled from Kuwait.
And as president, I can report to the nation, aggression is defeated, the war is over.
Once the war ended, journalists began investigating the famous testimony. Questions quickly emerged. Doctors working at the hospital denied witnessing such an incident. International investigators searched for evidence. Medical records failed to support the claim. No reliable proof showed that Iraqi soldiers had removed babies from incubators and left them to die. Then came another revelation. Nayirah was not simply an anonymous hospital volunteer. Her full name was Nayirah Al-Sabah. She was the daughter of Saud Nasir Al-Sabah, Kuwait's ambassador to the United States. Her identity had been deliberately concealed during the hearing. That revelation shocked many observers. But there was more.
Did Iraqi soldiers remove babies from incubators in order to steal the incubators?
No, they did not. Not at all. Nayirah was the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador.
Ordinary witness, she's a member of the Kuwaiti royal family, related to the Emir of Kuwait. And when she testified, her father was sitting close by. He's Sheikh Saud Nasir Al-Sabah, Kuwait's ambassador to the United States. Nayirah lives with her family in Washington, D.C.
Investigators discovered that a Washington-based public relations company, Hill Knowlton, had played a central role in promoting Kuwait's message in the United States. The firm had been hired by a Kuwaiti-funded organization called Citizens for a Free Kuwait. The campaign reportedly cost millions of dollars. Its goal was straightforward: persuade the American public to support military intervention. According to later investigations, Nayirah had been prepared before appearing at the hearing. Critics argued that the emotional testimony was carefully crafted to influence public opinion. Supporters of Kuwait responded that Iraq had committed many genuine human rights abuses during the occupation, even if the incubator story itself could not be verified. Nevertheless, the credibility of the testimony collapsed. Even Amnesty International, which had initially supported aspects of the allegation, later withdrew its claims after further investigation found insufficient evidence. The Nayirah testimony became one of the most studied examples of wartime propaganda. It demonstrated how emotion can sometimes outweigh evidence. It also raised uncomfortable questions. How carefully should journalists verify emotional eyewitness accounts? Should governments rely on unverified testimony when making decisions about war? Can public relations firms shape international policy? The controversy damaged public trust. Many Americans later questioned whether they had been manipulated. The incident also influenced how reporters and researchers approached future claims during later conflicts. Even today, historians disagree on how the story should be remembered. Some argue that the fabricated testimony helped deceive millions into supporting a war. Others point out that Iraq's invasion of Kuwait was a clear violation of international law and that the coalition had multiple legal and strategic reasons for intervening, independent of Nayirah's testimony. In that view, the testimony may have strengthened public support, but it was not the sole reason the war occurred. What is not disputed is that the story became one of the most influential pieces of wartime communication ever delivered. For minutes, one witness, one unforgettable image, and a narrative that shaped public opinion around the world. The story of Nayirah is more than a story about one girl. It is a warning about the extraordinary power of emotion in politics. When fear and outrage replace careful verification, public opinion can change almost overnight. Modern technology has only made that challenge even greater. Today, social media allows dramatic stories to spread across the globe within minutes. Some are true, some are misleading, and some are entirely false. The lesson of the Nayirah testimony is not that every emotional story is fake. It is that every extraordinary claim deserves extraordinary scrutiny. Because history has shown that sometimes a 4-minute speech can change the course of the world.
And we finally call on Nayirah to testify.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Nayirah, and I just came out of Kuwait.